So we're going to play as the German Reich. Historical AI focuses are off, which means countries might do things that they didn't do in the period, and I always find that's the more fun way to play. Iron Man German Reich 11, that's fine. Yeah, again, Spain is so messy though. If you want a safe environment to learn warfare in, the German Civil War is a great way to learn it. Right, so we are the German Reich. We have lots of military units scattered around. We have an economy to manage. We also have weapons and guns and things we need to produce. And we have research that we need to do. Research, we are going to focus very early on building things that are going to boost our civilian economy so we can throw out more civilian factories to build army factories to do all those kind of things. So it's always worth in your first early run or early bits on using your research slots to improve our research, because as with Stellaris, when we go for research speed early, you want to go for that stuff as early as possible because it's cumulative and it'll stack. We're going to take basic machine tools, and we're going to take construction number 1, and kind of got one slot left over. It's going to take us 302 days because they'd be a bit ahead of time because you don't do them until 1937. So I think we're probably just going to spend 148 days learning how to make basic weapons equipment. Although, do we want paras? No, we don't need paras that early. We do want tanks out of the way, because we want to get our boost for 1943 mediums, so let's do that. Yeah, Hungary is a really fun run if you've got the right DLC for it, because then you get to reform the Austro-Hungarian Empire.
Ihre Befehle!
Let me know if the sound is too loud, by the way, and I will adjust it. Right, German Civil War. Well, Rhineland is demilitarized, but the Rhineland is not going to remain demilitarized once we go into a war. Yeah, let me ping the volume levels down. I assume the music is relatively alright, but it's the sound effects that aren't. Because the sound effects in Hoi 4 are a bit more harsh. Let's drop them down to like that. There you go. Hopefully that's a bit better for you. So the things to know about the German Civil War, and if you're doing it to start play, is 1, there's 0 point assigning any of your divisions into armies yet, because all your armies are going to get split up the moment the Civil War kicks off. 2 is the fact that Hitler's going to get this bit, and you're going to get this bit. That's just the way the Civil War works. In fact, if you zoom out, you can almost see, just because of the way the coloration works, how it's going to split it. Now, I don't know why the coloration works like this. I assume it's just because that's slightly different terrain, or maybe it's just different. That's considered West Germany, and this is considered East Germany. But that is pretty much where the border is roughly going to run. Oh, we got that weird mouse misaligning thing again. Yeah, that's the Right, hang on. I can fix that because I know what does that. It's really annoying, but I can actually fix it. It is because Hoi 4 is a bit weird. And actually, the easiest way for me to fix it, bizarre as it sounds and annoying as it sounds, is actually for me to temporarily drop my screen resolution. And that will fix it. Yeah, so Prussia gets split. Right, this should fix it for you. We'll soon find out, but it should fix it for you. Yeah, Munich goes Hitler. Unsurprisingly. Right, let's see. There you go, that's fixed it. Well, you're going to see it quick enough. I once played Hoi 3 and invaded the US's Canada after Pearl Harbor. That was a fun play. In our multiplayer that we've got going on at the moment, we're probably almost going to get a bit of that. Oh, playing in lower resolution, man. Feels bad, man. Hashtag. Because Canada's actually joined our monarchist faction in our multiplayer one that we've got going on at the moment. We've done a kind of getting the band back together a run. So we've got Kaiser Germany, Austro-Hungary, and the Ottomans. And then Canada has joined. And the US has already joined the Allies, so we're probably going to do that. I'm going to smuggle my units over to Germany and then to Canada, and then we'll invade. So roughly kind of round about here is where our border is. We're going to get the Rhineland and capital out of Frankfurt. Now, first thing we're going to do is disband our motorized. We're going to move our 3 tank units over to Frankfurt, because the other thing the game does, when it splits all of these forces, we're going to get rid of those mountaineers. And in fact, we're just going to get rid of all of our aircraft units as well. Because what's happening now is all of these planes are going back into the stockpile, so it's all going to get split anyway. So let's kick off our focus. Well, first things first, what we actually want to do is create our agency. So we'll create the advert. It's going to take 30 days. So while we've got the factories to do it, we're going to create the advert. We know that Frankfurt is going to become our new capital for a while, so we just want to check the railway connections coming out of Frankfurt. To be honest, that could do with upgrading, but we probably won't get a chance to do it before it kicks off. But we'll set it going. Yeah, so the lowest revenge one, because the other thing we can do is you can if you can cheese the Kaiser inheritance so that you get different queen on the throne. In fact, what I'll actually do if we get time is I'll essentially also show you how to beat Hitler and then instantly conquer the Netherlands, which is quite fun. So West Prussia, East Prussia is going to get split, and the navies we're not going to bother doing anything about because the navies do anything. But what the game does try and do, generally speaking, is it will try and split units along the lines of where they are. So we're actually going to train 2 tank units, and we're not going to give a location for what. Well, actually, we are going to give a location, and they're going to deploy in Breslau. So that's where they're going to deploy. And we're going to deploy these as soon as they hit, even though they're rookie units. We're going to deploy them as soon as they hit the minimum training. We are also going to move a whole bunch of units to Frankfurt. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Because the game also tends to split your military evenly. And the first focus we are going to take, we're going to go straight for it, is oppose Hitler. In terms of what we're building in items, We have 8 factories free. We are going to slam down very quickly and start producing some civilian trains. And we want trucks, and lots of trucks. Because trucks now control supply in a way they didn't before. We're going to have a hell of a lot less factories in a minute, so it's fine. Missing planes in Austria. I think I got all the planes now, so I can't see any others hanging around. Shakel Bolt 72, better than the 71 other Shakel Bolts. Thank you for the follow. So according to this, we allegedly still have some factories left. We will use them also on infrastructure upgrades. Supply hub is not going to help us much at the moment. So we will just go with infrastructure. They're all on 4 out of 5, which is good. But infrastructure does influence how much materials we get. But I feel actually it might be more useful to build another railway, just get another railway network going. Because this whole area down here becomes pretty critical when you're also trying to defend against the French. So let's upgrade that rail connection as well. I don't think we need any new railways. So these units are all happily moving up here. We're getting some fuel warnings, but that's to be understood. We're going to redeploy all of these units to East Prussia.
Alright.
Now when the game splits everything, we've actually got 13 over here, which is too many. So you rail deploy
Ausrücken.
over to there.
Ihre Befehle?
The game may give us a random selection of these and over those, but just mathematically it biases towards giving you troops that are already in your territory. So by doing this, you can at least kind of ensure that you get the majority of your units are nearer to where the front line is going to be than theirs are. Which just helps. So we've got 54 days, 58 days until we overthrow Hitler. Or attempt to.
Right.
So let's move them all out to there. And there's not really anything else we need to do. What we should do is drop down any of these that are in production. We only want one more of each, because we'll build better navies in future. Just output a bunch of those. And in fact, actually, we'd much rather build some convoys. Convoys would be more important to us in the short term than any of these ships. And we're not going to rush to deploy these either, because if we can make sure they don't complete before we finish attempting to overthrow Hitler, we'll get them all out. I know an old exploit was to make sure a proportion of the troops that Hitler retains are at sea when the Civil War begins. Does it still work? It can do, but there's a chance your troops will become those troops as well. I mean, ultimately, if you know what you're doing, it's not that hard to win the Civil War. And it's quite fun to do, so I don't like ruining... It's almost like, are you going for a speed run, or are you just doing it for fun? And we're doing it for fun, so I'm not that fussed. I feel like we're giving the AI enough disbenefits already. Right, first bit of railways is built, so that's good. I think we probably want to just have a look again and see if there's more railway connections we want to build. So that's good for supply now. Depends on how long it would take to upgrade Frankfurt. I mean, that is a supply hub already. We are building Dortmund to Kassel. Could probably do with upgrading that one as well. Actually, that one could do with upgrading. Don't really need a supply hub there, but we do need that to be a 2. Because supply moves along railways now, and that's much harder. I really like it. I'm into logistics, so I love the way they've changed this. I think it's much more natural. But I get that other people don't like it. Hey, Darius Stonecrest. Welcome to the stream. We're doing a bit of random Hoi 4. Just for the remainder of our stream, because we finished our CK3 run. So at 20% we're going to be able to deploy these. We might as well up the speed on this now, because we're just waiting. And we're going to deploy them over this side of the map. Again, there's no point us setting up armies, and this is going to prove a nice way of showing you how to set up armies. So we're on day 23. Let's speed that up again. Everything is stored, which is what we want. Not bothering to do anything with the Navy yet. Yeah, somebody murdered us, but you know, we've done pretty much everything we wanted to achieve. Apart from the Reconquista, but I'll get that another time. Honestly, I'll do it in an afternoon if I'm not playing with chat's restrictions on me. Plus, we did get to eat a Pope. So we now have an intelligence agency, which is nice as well. And actually, what we're going to start doing is getting our crypto department going while we can. Because we're going to have a hell of a lot less civilian factories very, very shortly, once that rebellion kicks off. So we might as well maximize the short-term things we can do with civilian factories, so that we get the benefit. No, we were doing quite fine in our civil war, like our liberty war against our vassals. But clearly enough of them hated us that they actually managed to pull off an assassination plot. And we didn't have a remaining heir to be able to do it. It's just ironic, because essentially if our previous ruler had lived for 10 more months, we'd have finished the final religious conversion. But we just never quite managed it, because our new person didn't have the same religious perks. But that's the beauty of CK3, that's how it goes. We're also not taking any of these, because I'm stashing political points, because we're going to want them. Go a bit speed 5. Because I'd like to get to the point where I show you how to take over the Netherlands, which is really useful because it gives you the Dutch East Indies, and the Dutch East Indies gives you oil. Sweet, so we formed our crypto department. We can also recruit our first agent, and we're probably going to want someone who has a detection chance factor of -20 is really, really useful. So we'll go with Otto Wagner here. He's on counter at the moment, but that's fine, we'll flip him. I don't think we could have re-inherited the sister because she was only our half-sister, and I think you can only re-inherit full relatives. I think. Because I believe I did check. Let's drop that down. No, drop that down to speed 2. No, no, stop doing that. I'm trying to drop you down to speed. So Turkey has remilitarized the Straits. Wehrmacht officers challenge Hitler. Latent dissatisfaction with Hitler's rule has come to a head with the current crisis, caused by the administration's move to remilitarize the Rhineland. A number of Wehrmacht generals have rallied behind the well-known Field Marshal August von Mackensen, who has put in motion plans aiming to depose Hitler and to remove the Nazi Party from Germany. With the split in the German High Command becoming clearly apparent even abroad, foreign powers have elected not to protest against the remilitarization, more concerned with the growing internal German instability. The aging Field Marshal has moved quickly already, establishing a provisional government to which scores have flocked in their opposition to the Nazi government. The military coup is already well on its way. So fascist support is going to get a whole bunch of stability hit. August von Mackensen becomes the leader of our non-aligned party, and he gives us stability +5, war support +5, and division attack and defense on core territory +20, which is amazing. Purge this Nazi scum from our lands. And lo, you will notice that the territory has split.
Bereit zum Ausrücken.
We got 9 of the divisions that are over here, and I completely forgot to deploy those tank divisions, which is mildly annoying, but c'est la vie. See, if we deployed them, we'd have got all 3 of the tank divisions, but we didn't, so whatever. 4 of our divisions, though, are over there. So what we're going to want to do is try and get them back very quickly before the Navy can intervene and fuck us over. So we're going to ping them over there. Meanwhile, we also got lots and lots and lots of new units. So you can see the front line here is now here. Look at the trains. Look at the pretty little trains now. Now, how I like to do this
Zuhören.
is we've got all of these units moving over, so that's fine. We'll worry about them in a minute. All of these are essentially sort of Landsturm regiments, so they're temporary kind of Civil War only troops.
Befehle. Befehle. Befehle.
So we're going to take all of these Landsturm regiments.
Bereit zum Ausrücken.
Well, there says 10 divisions there. I think there's a couple of divisions of Landsturm in there. We're going to put them into an army. And we're going to give that army a general that is very good at defending. But I'm tempted to give them to Guderian, because he's got a defense of 4. But he's also quite good at attacking when we need him to. We might put him in the north, though. Who else is really good at defense? Let's give him to Kesselring. So Kesselring is getting the army in the south. So he gets, let's call this first. Anyone speak German? Give me a German phrase for like citizen soldiers. That's your challenge, chat. Someone who knows German in chat. Give me a name for citizen soldiers. Because that's essentially what they are. I'm going to give him these 2 as well.
Befehle. Achtung.
Burgerveer sounds cool. There is 0 chance of me pulling off the accent on this keyboard. Can I copy and paste it from chat? Inquiring minds like to know. We can! There you go. First Burgerveer. How much is the Civil War based on history? There was significant officer discontent with Hitler ahead of the takeover of the Rhineland. It never emerged into a full-on faction-based rebellion, but there was significant discontent. It was one of the points where it could have happened. While that's going on, we're going to take 4-year plan, because it's going to give us some industry boosts, and it's also going to give us access to... one of these gives us access. I think it's 4-year plan. Makes Hjalmar Schacht available, who's really good. What's more interesting is... That's why I really enjoyed doing the Hall 4 stream with Mordred years ago, and we really need to do another one again of just doing historical commentary on the natural Hoi 4 run. August von Mackensen is a fascinating character. He was an incredibly good general in World War One and did an awful lot of stuff down in the kind of Austro-Hungarian area. He then was sent to Turkey to do stuff in Turkey. I think von Mackensen is actually the reason that the Ottomans were unable to... They thought about doing a big massacre of the Jews in Jerusalem, and von Mackensen stopped them. But von Mackensen was very, very anti-Nazi, but very pro-Kaiser. He was an old-school Prussian monarchist. So Hitler was very determined to use von Mackensen as one of his kind of figures of kind of pushing militarism, and von Mackensen was having fucking none of it. There's some wonderful pictures of the Tsar, of the when the Kaiser Wilhelm actually died in Dutch occupation in World War II, and his funeral, and you've got all these German generals there in their full military regalia, and Hitler, and standing in the middle of them is August von Mackensen, very stubbornly still wearing his original Imperial German Field Marshal uniform, and that amazing hat. Just to kind of make a very clear statement that he was there for the Kaiser. He was absolutely not there to in any way support the Nazi Party. It's a fascinating figure. Right, so we've got our first Bürgerwehr down there.
Zuhören.
That means we're going to get the second Bürgerwehr.
Ihre Befehle.
It's going to hold the top part of this line.
Achtung.
So another 12 divisions. We're going to give them... Who do we give them to? I'm tempted to promote Guderian immediately and just instantly make him a... We've got Gert as our Field Marshal for now. He gives max entrenchment, urban assault. The alternative is we promote Guderian into a Field Marshal. Yeah, I mean, it's just different shades of what you consider a bad guy, basically. And yes, you do get von Leto Warbeck back doing this. So this is the second Bürgerwehr. I think we will give this...
Bereit zum Ausrücken.
No, you're the second Bürgerwehr. Unreadable string. Definitely not an unreadable string.
Bereit. Ihre Befehle.
How is that an unreadable... It wasn't an unreadable string a moment ago.
Ihre Befehle.
You were quite happy with it a moment ago. Yeah, there you go.
Zuhören.
Unreadable string, my arse. Let's give that to Guderian and let's not promote him yet. Oh, but he's got panzer bonuses. I mean, we technically don't have enough to promote him anyway. Yeah, I think it was a space character at the end. Let's give it to Guderian, we'll promote him later. We will put Gerd in charge of the overarching front, because Heuvel works in the way that you're trying to generally... people get Heuvel wrong when they start trying to individually manage their armies rather than letting the AI do it. You're better off setting orders and letting... Let's call this army group West, because it essentially is. So we've got 2 armies. We've also got all of our regular units here. And we've got more regular units coming in. This is really the army we're going to use to properly slice through the enemy opposition. And we're going to give that to Manstein, because he's a brilliant strategist. He's got Trickster, and he's got Engineer, which is really useful for us. And I think we can probably give him another trait if we wanted to, but we might hold off. Don't really need Fortress Buster because there's not a lot of fortresses we're going to take. So von Manstein here is going to do the absolute thrust of our fighting, and the first thing we're going to try and do is cut that railway through there. If we take Weimar and cut that railway, they have no supply route to Munich, because supply tends to come from your capital and spread outwards. You know that Alexander von Falkenhausen, who is currently in China, didn't want to return to Germany, partly because the Nazis killed his brother during the Night of Long Lives. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of the old guard generals who just were not keen on it. Is it von Hammerstein Eckward is the other interesting one. Fascinating guy. Absolutely fascinating guy. So, it's cancelled all of our civilian factory builds, but that's fine. What we will probably start to do is just start slamming down some civilian factories. Like, they're not going to finish quickly anyway. And we want to push on civilian factories early. So we have 3 armies. We're also going to give panzers to Rommel because we should. And at least Rommel starts now with Panzer Leader, which he didn't used to start with, which was just ridiculous. And can't really give him anything useful yet, so we're just going to make him Panzer Leader. Now we're going to use the Panzers for pure breakthrough. So what we're probably going to do is... all of them are working under Gerd here. Heinz Guderian in the north. We're going to tell him that his job is to hold right down to about here. We're going to tell Kesselring that his job is to hold everything here. And we're going to tell him to start planning for an attack. But you can see actually on strength-wise it's not looking positive for him at the moment, but that'll change. In the long term, we're going to want him to push potentially to about there.
Angetreten.
For Guderian, we're going to tell him that in the long term, we want him to push along the line of the river there. In the meantime,
Angetreten.
Ulrich von Manstein here with 1st Army, because these are core troops. We want him to start in that gap, and I want him to spearhead, i.e. just fucking push through to there. Because if he gets Leipzig, we're going to cut off all of their frickin' supply down there.
Bereit zum Ausrücken.
And to help him do that, we're going to tell Rommel to start here. So he's only got 2 divisions, but they are tanks. And we're going to tell him to just push for there. So what we're going to try and do, I'm doing hand signals here and you can't see it, is just shatter through the middle. We're going to just do a full central spike straight through the middle of their line. And just try and force them into 2 pockets, and then we'll worry about what we do after that. Hopefully our 4 units here will make it back without being interrupted, and then we can give them to von Manstein too. So what we're going to try and do, mostly, at least in the early stages, is use the Burgerwehr is the anvil that they can throw themselves at and that will hopefully hold, whereas our regular troops under von Manstein will be the hammer that we use to hammer through. What we do need to do is allocate some aircraft. And we've got a decent chunk of planes. So we're going to drop 100 interwar fighters up here. I think Kesselring is going to have the harder time early on. So we've got 40 interwar fighters left. But if we put in 3 of them, and we tell that to recruit up to 100, it'll gradually fill into there as well. Hey, fake Karubu. Welcome to the stream. So that'll reinforce up to there. We've actually got an ace, and we're going to put the ace on the Udet. Those fighters we're going to tell to try and do air superiority down here. These fighters we're going to tell to do air superiority up over here. And then our initial push is going to be through this territory. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to deploy 41 tactical bombers, but these are our newer planes, so we're going to pull them up to 100. We're also going to do all of our close air support and pull that up to 100 over time. And we're going to tell them to do close air support on there. And we're going to drop another 100 bombers into there. And tell them to do close support there. Just build us in there. Mr. Darcy, thank you for the anonymous gift sub that you have continued to continued by continuing your sub. Thank you very much. We do have some naval bombers. I'm less worried about dropping them around. The transports aren't really useful. These are all going to filter down as they reinforce other things. So let's just see what we're going to have left. So planes and reserves, but everything's done. Now we do have a bunch of political power, and what we're actually going to use that political power for straight off the bat is it's actually going to allow us to change to a war economy really quickly, which is just so useful for us. We're just going to do it, and then we'll carry on saving up because there's other things we want to do with that. Now, we can decrypt that, but it's going to take us 480 days, and we're going to finish this war before then, but we might, you know, we'll do it anyway. I think what we'll actually just do is tell them to go infiltrate. Let's build an intel network. Actually, no, go build an intel network on Holland. And let's decrypt the Dutch cipher. Because the nice thing about spending the power to up this to war economy is that's not going to disappear when the war ends. So we're going to still have a war economy even though we weren't at war. Really handy. So all of our orders are set up. We're not going to tell these gents to do anything because they're there to hold. We are going to tell Manstein and Rommel to just the moment they can start doing it.
Achtung!
And the only linked divisions we should now have is these chaps. And the moment they get over here, we're just going to allocate them straight to Manstein. So we can unpause. Germany is embroiled in a civil war. A sudden Wehrmacht coup led by the famed Field Marshal Augustus von Mackensen has triggered a civil war in Germany early this morning. Fascists, royalists and Democrats alike have taken up arms against their former countrymen. And military units have been removed from the borders to see the internal threat. The fascists, under the orders of Hitler, have already vowed to destroy the nation rather than see it fall to treasonous Germans. We failed at the very last minute on our Reconquista. We got assassinated right at the end, just before we finished converting. So we're just doing this as a bit of an hour. We're overthrowing Hitler as a sort of hour and a half challenge. So everyone is moving around doing things, and you can see straight away that von Mackensen and Rommel are getting in the action here. Now the green means that we are gradually winning. And that's the percentage chance of us winning. If it goes red, we have issues. Because we're throwing our regular troops straight away up against their civilian troops, we should win this quicker. Because we are about shock and awe. We want to cut that railway connection as quickly as possible. Because that's going to give their pocket down south so much trouble. Now what we're actually going to do here is there's 2 units there. And we're going to do the rare thing of giving a manual order.
Ausrücken!
To just tell them to do that, because if we can do that, we're actually going to entrap. We're going to, if we win that before we win that, those gents will be pocketed and they'll just disappear off the map because they're not going to have anywhere else to go. We might not pull it off. But so our troops are pushing that way. Our 4 units did manage to get there, so we're going to reallocate them over to von Manstein. So they're now going to redeploy and they'll do whatever he needs them to do down here. Now I'm tempted to cheese this slightly and tell those 2 to slack off.
Zeigt es ihnen!
Yeah, guys, can you stop doing that, please?
Los, los, los!
Right, now go for it. No, don't go for it. Stop attacking! Now, the reason they're attacking is KAI is telling them to, which is fine. We do want that. I just quite like to...
Zurück!
Ah, they're going to win first anyway. They've managed to withdraw their units through there, so it's fine. They'll redeploy and do whatever. Confifak! Thank you very much for the follow. So our troops are starting to bog down a bit over here, but that's mostly because it's just Rommel pushing on there. But now those new troops are coming in, they should start to make a difference. Now what we're actually going to do is we're going to tell Guderain to start pushing, because they've redeployed a lot of troops down here because they've realised what we're trying to do down here. And actually Guderain's got numerical supremacy, notable by the green bar at the moment. So we're actually going to tell him to start pushing, because that'll pin a lot of these troops in position. We might even get some gains up north. So all we're trying to do is restrict and limit their ability to adapt to what we're trying to do with our breakthrough plan in the middle. Yeah, you'll get the well, hence like me not being able to put it in the title. Like, even if we cut Nuremberg, that's going to screw their railway lines, railway lines for everything down here. So just breaking this through here, getting that railway line there is going to be hugely important to us. Now I'm actually going to not cancel that, but it's got no location step, which is fine. We're going to train, and there are reasons for this that have become clear. Right, let's pause because we just got some research doing. So we're going to train 3 more of them. We're also going to add as many infantry units in training as we can, which is 14 divisions. And the reason we're doing this is the number of divisions we can train is based on the number of divisions we've got in the field. And right now we have a lot of divisions in the field. Because those Landswehr units count. But we are having supply issues, but that's not particularly unexpected. We have cut their railway line. We need to take this so that our troops are back in supply. Like, we need Nuremberg. And in fact, I'm tempted to manually push on that because we really need Nuremberg. And let's give them a force attack to give them a bit of a temporary boost to that. So what we're doing here is we're massively cutting their railway lines and supply. Everyone gets civil wars now. It's like Paradox played Kaiser or something. Yeah, but I really like that. I mean, I get that people like the historic realism, and they should be able to. Nazi expulsion takes heavy toll on Franken. We have finally managed to secure control of the Franking, but fighting has been severe. The Nazis grow ever more fanatical. Small price to pay. Right, we have pocketed 2 units there, which is nice, so they're going to suffer. Actually, I think these guys are currently unopposed. Now, this is splitting a whole bunch of our divisions onto our key armies here. Now, the first thing we want to do is Rommel. Don't worry about that front. Focus everything on there. The second is we do still want the bulk. There's only 6 divisions that Mackenson's got assigned to that new front up there. And I think, realistically... Right, who is assigned to which front? So you're headed down, because I presume you're assigned to the other front. So actually, let's assign you over to there.
Los!
You are headed down as well. I'm actually going to assign you back as well. So that gives us 9 there, and 2 down here. Which is fine, because I want you to just grab that.
Angetreten.
And actually, they're going to get done over, so we might as well just swing you temporarily round to grab that.
Ausrücken!
See if you can actually grab that.
Bereit zum Ausrücken!
You're not going to get to Munich, so... But these gents are now rapidly going to fall out of supply. And actually what that means is now is the time for us to tell Kesselring to start pushing. Because they're going to have supply coming out of Munich, but that's all they're going to get supply out of. They have managed to unpocket themselves by retaking that territory back, that's fine. Meanwhile, Ethiopia has capitulated.
Vorrücken!
Now all we need these chaps to do down here, I am going to assign one more unit to this front. And you definitely do not need to be assigned to that front. Which means that can go. Because that is dead territory. There's nothing's going to happen over there. There's no point us taking it. So now we're doing a reasonable push up here. We've lost all the territory down there. We are going to try and get this ship to safety. Now what we'll probably do as well with this front down here
Suchen Deckung!
is we will tell them to just try and push on Munich. Because the pressure from both sides here should still kick in. Casualties, we are currently running at 11k to the German Reich's 24k. What we should also do is prioritise the repair of factories. So we've got good greens going on around here. We've got good greens going on up here. Because if we can close out the Munich pocket before we take Berlin, the capital won't flip to Munich. I mean, frankly, even if we can just massively compress this bubble so they just control Munich, it's even better. But Leipzig should be about to fall, or Leipzig, if we're taking it properly. But again, like, notice that, and I think this is where most early Hoi 4 players get it wrong, is they try and manually move all of their armies around. And notice I've only been doing that when I really need to. Because, generally speaking, you get a big organisation loss from manually moving your armies. Like, he should have gone for there, because we could have just captured Munich, but whatever. We've just pocketed 5 of their units there, so that's 5 vital units they're about to lose. I mean, frankly, if anything, we're winning this civil war too quickly. Now, what would be really nice, I know you're pushing on Magdeburg, but we pushed on here because we could pocket a whole bunch of units there. And the AI knows it. That's why it's desperately trying to move a whole bunch of stuff out. So I'll do a manual force order there, because it's worth it.
Vorwärts, Männer!
We might not pull that off just because of the supply issues, but we are getting better on our supply. How are we looking in terms of our supply? We have 100% of what we need in logistics to supply everything, which is perfect. And for now, we will prioritise reinforcement. In fact, what we should actually do is we should say that these guys always get motorised priority, and these guys always get motorised priority. So we're always going to try and give them the best supply we can. So everything around here is collapsing. The moment it collapses, right? That's just fully collapsed up there. So I think the first thing we're going to do is actually pull these units into another army. And this will be 3rd Berger Troopers. And we will give them to maybe von Lieb. Not really worth giving them to Manteuffel. Let's give him to Von Lee, because he's a baldy with a moustache like me. Varatakin, thank you for the follow. So, the reason we're doing that is we might as well start pulling them forward to start taking over the line up here. Which then means we can go back to using Von Manstein to just be our hammer. And they can be the new anvil up here. Because if we take that, we pocket another 4 units. And pocketing units is always your key goal. Munich has fallen. So what we can probably do now is we've still got the air forces pinging around down here. We're going to send all of the air forces we have. And we're going to redeploy these guys to there. Right, go do all that sort of thing. Go deal with Germany over there. Right. We still can't take that. We've got 70 days until we can take that. We're probably actually going to take... That's going to give us some construction siege speed bonuses. Which is, the sooner we get them, the better. But we do kind of want that. Because the sooner we can get to treaty with the USSR, the better. But let's go autarky for now. So we've got no air cover around here now, but that's not really important because they haven't got any airfields, so they can't have any air cover around here anyway. So you can see why, in terms of what we did in the Civil War, smashing straight through the centre there with our good infantry made a huge difference. And there we go, we've now pocketed all of those troops as well. Which means what we should actually do again is just manually push and just tell everyone to go for that. And what we'll actually do while we're doing that is we're going to cancel. It's created a whole bunch of extra allocations here. We don't want Rommel doing anything around there. Let's ping Rommel, all of Rommel's troops back onto there. And what we want you to do is we're going to want you to push on Berlin.
Bereit zum Ausrücken.
We're going to tell...
Befehle!
Get rid of that one.
Befehle!
Let's pull all the regulars back and ping them onto that front.
Bereit zum Ausrücken.
And I want you to push all the way to that river. How about you lot deal with that?
Ausrücken.
Just finish dealing with that. So we can close all of this off.
Zuhören.
And you join in on that. Because again, the sooner we can close it off, we can flip all of those troops north. These gents have zero supply. So how about you lot just push on them? And just keep pushing on them.
Achtung!
And you help with that temporarily. And you help with that temporarily. Research. We're going to take our first bonuses in these to get them out of the way and done. And we're going to want... probably concentrate industry. Yeah, wars are all about Pope snacking. Right, von Manstein is in the position and ready to go, so we'll tell him to go, even though he's having some supply issues. We actually have 3 divisions down here, and they're making a hash of it because these chaps have pulled back. So just go help with that until that's done.
Suchen Deckung.
All of you could just carry on pushing there, please. And we can close that out, and then we can get all of you back up north to help as well. So it's another 4 Nazi units going here.
Angetreten.
You push in there, and you can carry on redeploying. We have 153 political power. Now the question becomes whether we want to go up to extensive conscription. Isn't necessarily critical for us at the moment. Whether we want to dump onto staff and tell you actually what we want to do is get him in because he does a 10% construction boost. But we want a bunch of points because what we're actually going to want to do relatively quickly is we're going to do some banning of fascism and everything else. So that's almost mopped up down here. We do have the ability to pick up some doctrines, but we're going to get some discounts on that, so let's not do that yet. Let's check that we're still prioritising factory repair, because the quicker a factory is repaired, the quicker it can be used to repair other factories. So it's a cascade effect there that we want to encourage. And you can see that we're really starting to get an advantage here now. In fact, actually, to be fair, Guderain's done well, but he's kind of overstretched himself, which is a bit of a risk. So what we might do is reallocate these troops when they get freed up to Guderain.
Angetreten.
Because it is essentially only a matter of time until this lot fall. And we can probably tell Rommel to start rommeling now. So we are starting to lurk on the outskirts of Berlin. We're going to get pushed back there, but that's fine. This is all really just to keep them busy so our regular troops can do regular troop things. These chaps are still making a meal of this fighting, but whatever. They'll get there at the end. Yeah, but Luxembourg's on the map, you know. Battle for Berlin has begun. They're trying to push us back here, but we're holding there and we're pushing in on here. Now, one thing we could do if they had still had lots and lots of troops in this area was we could potentially encircle Berlin and sweep round and cut off the railway to just really screw with their supply. But Berlin is such a supply hub that us getting it back would be really critical. I suspect their capital will move to Breslau because they don't control Munich. And they're now down to just that down there. In fact, actually,
Los, ausrücken.
Let's reallocate 2 of those troops over to Gudera. You don't really need all of them there. And he could do with the use of them up north. So Berlin is properly under attack now. Berlin is going to fall in less than a day. This is just a single player. It's just a very short session. I just thought kind of, because we'd finished our CK Kit 3 campaign, so I just thought it'd be nice to show people something else. So we're just winning the Civil War. We have captured Berlin, chap. Hitler has been found dead. With the capture of Berlin, our troops discovered the corpse of Hitler in a bunker in the city. Choosing death over seeing anti-fascist elements take over the country, the leader evidently took his own life rather than risk capture. In his stead, Heinrich Himmler has now stepped up to lead the Nazis, and he has already affirmed that the government will not abate in their fight against the anti-German treason. So we are now up against Tiny. What bonuses does Heinrich Himmler get? Does anyone know what bonuses Heinrich Himmler gives you as a leader? I'm intrigued now as to whether it would be almost worthwhile if you're playing as... If you tag switched into the German ones, do you let Hitler die and take over as Himmler? You think it moves to East Prussia? If it moves to Königsberg, that'd be amazing, but we still technically hold Königsberg, so it would have to move to Wallenstein, and I don't think it will. No, there you go, see Breslau. I did suspect it'd be Breslau because it's one of the few major cities. Right, now again, this changes our plans slightly, because we have them on the run, but obviously there's still a lot of them around. You know, we're dealing with the last tuck-in down here. We're probably actually not far off winning this. Yeah, I mean, we're 95% towards victory. We have freed up some dockyards, so now it is actually worth us starting to put down some ships. I'm not fussed about us building rubber out yet. So let's start allocating this up, and then what we're just going to do is dump all of this, so each time it becomes available, those ships get built off. Now, von Manstein here is still really pushing for this line here. But again, remember, this is all about railways and how railways work. So actually, what's now absolutely critical to us, because their only railway connection out of Breslau, i.e. their kind of key supply route, is via this enormous railway junction here, just off of Kustrin. So what's critical to us now is pushing for that railway junction. So, given that we have troops, we're going to redo some of these lines. So Rommel has a way too extended front line. We want to bring that line back. All the way back to just being around Berlin.
Alright.
Because it's way too long. There's 2 divisions.
Alright.
And then we're going to cancel. Has he even got any orders? Or he's fulfilled them because he took Berlin. So we're going to tell him just push for that. We just want you to get that railway. With your 2 divisions.
Angetreten.
We're also going to reduce the front for von Manstein. Because he doesn't need as long a front. And we're going to tell him to do the same. Like, we want you over the river in Kurstin. And for that, we're going to need to cancel your other attack order.
Angetreten.
And then tell you to reassign all of your divisions. No,
Bereit zum Ausrücken. Bereit zum Ausrücken.
That's first army. What's all
Ausrücken.
this army 2 bubble?
Angetreten.
Right, first army, cancel all your orders. Let's just clear this up.
Zuhören.
This is our second Bürgerwehr. And again, remember, this army's whole purpose really is to hold. So we're going to pull them back and tell them to just, with 5 divisions, hold that line there. We don't even really that fussed about that bit of territory there.
Bereit zum Ausrücken.
Your front line is just that bit. You are our hammer. And I want you to take yeah, that'll do. Let's do that. Then we're actually, because he's got more units now, we're going to extend Guderian's line out to fill the gap. Because we can give him more units when this is things. You think Himmler sucks? I suspect he does. And yeah, Fenrak, you're absolutely right. The German Reich, once you trigger, gets the generic focus tree. Right, go. Go. So the sooner you break that connection, the better. And let's keep them on the run. Like, we want that. And in actual fact, we're going to give you force attack. So we don't care about pushing on this front at the moment. All we care about is getting that railway junction. That's where our effort is. These armies are the ones that are getting all of our key supply. And Kesselring's almost finished down here, so we might even keep that army together and actually just move it up north and just send it in behind here. Because to be honest, we're at 95%, so we only need one more major urban centre anyway, and we've got this. Right, we've got medium tank chassis. We're not going to push on that one yet, so actually we want to take construction 2, because again, the sooner we get it, the better. And give me improved machine tools. Spanish Civil War has begun. Bosh, we've taken that railway hub. So now in supply terms, if you look at Breslau's supply connections, they can't supply anything. We've cut off their whole supply routes. So since the last patch and the way it reworked, I know people have moaned about it and they've said, oh, it's really hard. No, it's not hard to understand. It's like actual warfare now. Control what railway hubs, build railway hubs, control them. Like, you just can't Zerg rush with tanks anymore. That's the difference. So we're going to carry on pushing here, because I think Stettin falling would win us the war. And Guderian's pulling back again as well. He's kept hold of Rostock. If he pushes them back here and gets Stralsund, that would probably do it.
Achtung!
I mean, there's no one protecting that Rommel, so why don't you just drive straight through and grab it? Slightly annoyed we didn't get any more aces generated. Would have been nice to generate some aces in this civil war. Oh, Italy and Austria-Hungary are going to side together. Interesting. At Hungarian instigation, Italy, Austria and Hungary have renewed the Rome Protocols originally signed in 1934. The agreements pertain to economic development and rapprochement, essentially a declaration of friendship. There are signs that may lead to an official alliance aimed at counteracting the growing revisionist and expansive tendencies of Germany. So now you spearhead tank and motorised divisions to railway hubs. Within reason, yes. Like, railway hubs is what you want. Even more if those railway hubs then link into your own supply network. So by pushing to here, we added a supply network, a supply hub to ourselves, which supplies out of here, and we deprived the Nazis of a key supply hub of their own. Then we're holding it with troops. So I do a lot more of kind of ruthlessly targeting my armoured and motorised against railway hubs. And I'm not the best at composing units. I'll put my hands up and admit that. Right, how much of this have we stacked up? Not a lot yet, because we've almost won this civil war, so I'm not inclined to pick another option from here. Actually, no, we'll take Kaiserwerk, because we'll spend the extra 70 days and get Kaiserwerk, because the extra civilian factories is really nice early on. And let's keep our focus on repairing civilian factories. But yes, you're pushing for hubs. Oh, Second Soviet Civil War. Civil war has once more erupted in Russia, with the memories of the Tsar Civil War still fresh on everyone's mind. It's a bit of a surprise that it would come to this. After years of political infighting between Stalinist and Trotskyist factions, the Soviet government has finally split, and the two groups now battle in the streets for control of the country. Lev Trotsky has declared himself the leader of what he calls the Union of Soviet Republics of Europe and Asia, and leads the war against Joseph Stalin from his base in Odessa. I mean, good luck with that. Can't really see that bothering Stalin a lot. But I may be wrong. Oh, another international. So if you look around here, you can really see how that supply issues are causing for them. That all of these units here have got low or no supply. Because there's just nowhere that can supply them. Even though they're on core territory, they're having enormous supply issues because we've just cut them off from their capital. And if we get Stettin or Stralsund, we cut them off from the sea as well. Right, I think we'll actually just redeploy these units into this army. And then we can extend their front to there. And actually we might as well give them an offensive order and tell them to go. Communists are really strengthening out. Now the other thing we're going to do is when this hits 100, we are going to send a military attaché to the Spanish Civil War and send it to the Carlists. Because army experience is so much more critical now, because you need to spend it on doctrines as well as unit compositions. So actually, having an attaché in the Spanish Civil War, which tends to go on for bloody ages, is really useful. Now what we should probably do is give von Manstein some new orders. And let's tell him to just take Stettin and Kustrin. Luca Brer, thank you very much for the follow. I always struggle to what focus first, political, industrial, military in the focus tree. Yeah, Stettin is still definitely getting supplies because of the river. As you say, Shen, the river acts as supplies. Also, hey Shen. If you want to learn about Hoi 4, watch Shen's streams more than mine. I am very much a roleplay Hoi 4er. I very much enjoy this. I like my unit composition. I like doing alt history. Shen is the person I watch when I want to learn how to play Hoi 4 properly. But yeah, so in terms of focusing on civilian or political, whatever, it kind of depends on what you're doing as a country. But in this particular run, as I say, because we're just going with the how to do the German Civil War and how to essentially conquer the Dutch very, very quickly without anyone objecting. I'm pushing very early on these because civilian factories and improvements to civilian factories early on are really critical. Because in the early game, you want to be building civilian factories so that you can then build military factories and beyond. It's like playing Stellaris with the research stuff, and CK3 as well. You boost your economy early, because boosting your economy early pays off in the long term. Like, it's too late to boost your economy in mid-game, because by that point you need to boost your military. So yeah, it's always worth going early and doing stuff like that. And it's also fun to do in multiplayer. Like, I mean, we'll do over Christmas. If people want to do some just casual co-op multiplayers of Hoi 4 and learn how to play it over Christmas, I'm off now until the new year. I'm quite happy to run some midweek. Just ping me on Twitter and here and say people are up for midweek gaming. Because what we'll do is you can have some fun ones of, like, you can use Germany, or someone plays as Germany like me, and you can kind of turn around and go, right, well, I'm going to use you to just boost the economy of, say, Romania or Austria or Poland, or Estonia is really good fun under the new stuff to do. And you use that to kind of help other players learn how to play and boost stuff. So as you can see, all of our fronts here, we have been pocketed there, but I'm not too worried. We'll lose those units, but we've got this war. That's just Guderian being Guderian. The key thing is our regular units are pushing in now on all of this, so As soon as as soon as fucking Eric von Manstein here gets his act together, we'll be fine. Well, look, !Discord. Join the Discord, because we're always up for doing these things. We'll often do it on just a Saturday. We'll go, let's just do a Saturday game. Because if we can cut the river here, it's just as useful. Because part of the problem here at the moment is that supply is still making up and vaguely round. Guderian's lost his shit a bit. But we've almost won this anyway. But we have got 100 zone. What I am going to do is we're going to send a military attaché to the Carlists, assuming they'll let us. And if not, we'll just improve relations until they will. So, they will accept. That's perfect. Because that Carlist Civil War is going to go on for a while. And that's just going to gradually tick up all of our things. You'll notice that, technically speaking, I could deploy a whole bunch of these units as well, and I'm not. And there are reasons for that. There are reasons. But yeah, !Discord, if someone wants to do that, that'll give you the Discord joining link. So we've got concentrated industry. I think we're going to keep pushing on the industry one, even though it's a 2 days. Don't need the capacity for it, though. Factory output is nice, though. Especially to get early. So I think we will push one more time on that. Yeah, do you want to actually do that like I told you to? There we go. So von Manstein's pushing now with the regulars, so this'll fall quickly. I'm pretty certain as soon as Stettin falls, that'll be enough. Yeah, so as France, I think from memory as France, you really struggle early on with the research slots. I think there's 2 you can unlock. I think you can get a maximum of 5 as France. But unlocking at least one of those is really critical early on. Because France starts with like 8 military factories or something ridiculous, doesn't it? It's like pretty pathetic. Oh, not quite enough just conquering Stettin, but we'll hold Stettin now, so that's pretty much sorted. So actually, if we do that, we'll do a manual order, which I don't do a lot, but we'll do a manual order. And then if we ping that up, that's going to cut off their air forces, and I suspect Custrum might not be enough. 96, it might be enough. If you have the time, try the same country several times in a row, and each time different part of their focus tree. Hard part is having time. Yeah, completely agree. It's just like, and don't be afraid to restart. I think that's the thing as well. Like play for. I think sunk cost kicks in at a certain point, and Hoi4 is the worst for it, because mistakes you make very early on can really screw you in the long game. So often, like the first 2-3 hours, just restart. Or turn on cheats and cheat. I don't get anyone who says that when you're playing Paradox games, you shouldn't, when you're learning the game, you shouldn't be afraid to cheat a bit every now and again. Because you're meant to be having fun. It's not meant to be a challenge or whatever else. Restart. Or yeah, or on our Discord, we've got a PDX help channel. Like, everyone who plays games in there is super chill, because we're all old. We're all like 40 plus gamers. We're too old for shenanigans. So just ask, someone will help you. But yeah, totally. It's restart, do different games, do different runs. What is the most worst history book you have ever read, which means most inaccurate that covers a mythologized period? Boris Johnson's biography of Churchill is one of the most painful things I've ever read as a historian. Like it's like reading one of my worst A-level essays. It's awful. But yeah, so that would be my tip for that one. Yeah, don't forget, by the way, if you've got channel points, you can cash them in for books off my bookshelf or for Histofacts. Oh, Latvian Civil War. Right, we picked up Kaiser, which has given us some more civilian factories, because that's what I wanted to push on early for Germany, as I was like, I want those civilian factories early. But actually, we're now going to bank, because we've almost won this war, and we're going to want to very quickly move down here to get the Kaiser back. So we've got up to, is it 25 days we can stash? 10 days? I think we'll win the civil war in that time, because we are so close to winning it. 97%. Push on Koistin, because if you get that, we'll win it as well. If Breslau falls, we'll definitely get it.
Angetreten.
I'm not really doing anything with Rommel, so let's push Rommel through. Oh, we lost Rostock, that's why. Get Rostock back. Rostock will win it. We're going to start bleeding a tiny bit of points, but I'm not fussed. How historically accurate is the series Vikings? It's not the worst. There we go. There we go. We captured a bunch of stuff, we took it back. Right. So before I click this and the peace treaty stuff kicks in, well, don't really get a peace treaty for this, it's a civil war. Right. Do you remember I queued up all of the units here? So I queued up all of the units I could build, but I haven't deployed any of them. They've got no location set. That's deliberate. And I queued all of this up because the number of units you can build is based on the number of units you have in the field. And right now we have 35 divisions in the field. When I click this, when I unpause, we're suddenly going to not have 35 divisions in the field. Watch. Because our Burgerwehr are going to disband because we won the Civil War. So it gets to the end of the day, they're going to disband. Nazi leadership captured. At long last we have freed our country from the grip of our enemies, and those loyal citizens who rose up to support our cause may now finally return to their homes. As a nation we may begin the long and arduous process of rebuilding our nation. The country's leadership in turn is free to begin looking ahead at what might come in future. Democracy or a return to the old monarchy. One last thing remains to be taken care of, however. With the end of the Civil War, our troops have managed to capture a large group of the Nazi leadership. Now there only remains a decision of what to do with this unsavoury part of our recent history. Hang 'em high, absolutely, hang 'em. And we're doing this because it changes the base popularity of things. Now notice we've now got 13 divisions. So if we try to start this recruitment now, we'd only be able to recruit, I think, 6 divisions. In reality, we've got 17 divisions in training. And that's critical, because what I'm about to do is this.
Bereit!
Yoink.
Befehle!
And actually, we don't need to disband them yet. No, we don't need to disband them for 100 days.
Zuhören!
Von Manstein, what I'd like you to do is just chill.
Ausrücken!
Right, navies can come around to there. Let's forget navies for now.
Zuhören!
I would like you to just, you know, I don't know, let's set you a fallback line. Let's go like there, I don't care. And I want you to drill. The German Civil War ends. The civil war that has racked Germany has now come to an end. The fighting was extraordinarily intense, with fanatical resistance by the Nazis causing devastation on a scale reminiscent of the Great War. It appears Hitler is dead and the Nazi leadership imprisoned or executed. The provisional government has now announced it is necessary to secure their hold over the state and ensure the return of stability to the nation before there can be any thought of embarking on a constitutional reform. Right, first things first. Focus. Secure the state. Get that done. And we get a tiny boost to it because we'd managed to stash a bit. Next thing. Guns, yes. Give me some artillery, because we are absolutely going to need some artillery. Trucks we're actually doing pretty well on. Not that fast about light tanks, but we'll deal with it in a bit. Attack bombers, that stuff's all good. Everything's coming out there. We're not building trains, but that's fine. We've got a good stockpile of trains and we'll go for armoured. I volunteer at charity ship, and I've seen come in as well as Jacob Rees. Oh yeah, no, Jacob Rees-Mogg, the Victorians, runs it very close. It's like what if someone wrote a book based on Ladybird history books, which you get in the UK, those kind of ones that you do for like 8-year-olds. Books that were written in the 60s for 8-year-olds and have the worst worldview ever. So we're not worried about the trains at the moment, so let's just do support equipment because we're going to need a ton of that. And actually we will boost trucks again. Do we have anti-air? We do. Give me anti-air. Now the reason these are red is because these factories are damaged, but they will get undamaged relatively quickly. Because again, remember I said we were pushing on civilian factories early on. So we are up to 42 factories already, civilian ones. If we carry on repairing these as a priority, because these things will slowly repair themselves over time, but we can help them along to getting repaired. So we're going to push for that, and we're doing it in that order. So our factories are getting repaired first, then our mill factories, then our civilian infrastructure, which is fine, that's what we want. We're probably going to need to upgrade, it depends on which way Poland's going, and we don't know how Poland's going yet. Be interested to see how Poland goes. I've not done a Germany run since the new DLC. Trotsky, unsurprisingly, is being murdered. So let's assume that Russia is going to be big and evil. We are going to do anti-fascist raids. And the reason we're doing that is because relatively quickly we need this to be above, I think it's 40%. Because we can't do Return of the Kaiser until until there's more than 40% support for it. So the sooner we can do that, I'd like to do that without having to appoint a non-aligned advisor. Let's add that to speed 4 for now. So von Manstein's troops are all moving around here and doing some extra drilling. Oh, I bet the Ladybird Cromwell one's terrible. I mean, Cromwell as a historical figure is fascinating and way more complex than anyone actually gives him credit for. And don't get me started on the kind of myths around Droida. But at the same time, Cromwell is far more nuanced than English history likes to give him any credit for either, so it's all very silly. Right, we do have doctrines, and we do have discounted doctrines, but our army experience is quite critical for us, and in actual fact, I think what we're going to do... So... It does vary now. Your army composition isn't the usual kind of building for what it used to be, because it does now slightly depend on terrain and combat width. And like, where are they most likely to go into battle? But just for the sake of this, what I'm actually going to do is flip this around a bit and go, let's get you out of there. Let's put one of you in there. And let's give you some anti-air. Because early game anti-air will do you just as much kind of piercing damage against light tanks as anything else. I don't think we've got anything else useful we could add there. We could add armoured recon, but it's probably excessive. But light armoured might not be a bad idea. Or we could just go cavalry. We are going to have to go into Russia with these units. I think maybe we just go cavalry. So the old 20 width rule isn't like critical anymore. We could probably go support. We got support artillery. We could give you some support anti-air as well. I mean, that's decent width. We might stick an anti-tank in there as well, to be honest. But that'll do for now. So remember, we've got all our untrained units training here but not deploying. And again, that is deliberate. So this is creeping up now. Slowly but surely. And we're going to get some boosts off of these two bits on this tree. So when we go secure the state and revive the Kaiser, that's going to give us a non-aligned boost. So this one I think gives us daily fascism support minus 0.05 for 7250 days. When am I going for the Netherlands? When we hit return of the Kaiser. So essentially 35, 105, 175 days. In 175 days we're invading the Netherlands. So these guys are just drilling because it gets us the extra army experience. Look at them doing the little press-ups. Mate, watch out for that train. I like that you get a different Olympiad event thing when you talk about this. So you get a little bit of a different text. The game is a symbol of renewed German national unity, but also a significant propaganda victory for the new German regime, which, despite the tremendous costs of rebuilding the nation after the Civil War, spent lavishly on the event. Don't bomb Eindhoven too much. I'm not going to bomb any of it. Taking that baby intact. You Dutch people don't put up a lot of opposition. Right, so these are repairing nicely. I think what we're actually going to do is drop a few more civilian factories down. Got 80% infrastructure in these places, so it's decent enough, and we're getting the bonuses for stuff. So I think we are just going to go... So that gives us an extra 8. 9, 10. Oh, actually, that's 60%. I'll be fine. That's fine. Chinese are all joining up and doing Chinese things. How are we doing on decrypting the Dutch, by the way? We're about halfway done. We're not going to get it done in time, but it's worth a try. Actually, what we could do is boost that. Let's do that. Tex, give me excavation. Give me resource gain efficiency. 85, too early. We could do tank engines and armor. We're not really ready to build tanks yet. Give me better artillery. It could happen in New Zealand. So we got secured a new state. So that means we could do that. By the way, what I'm doing here is your absolutely guaranteed way of, if you want to restore, rather than the regular Kaiser, if you want to get the Vicky 3 Easter egg, getting Victoria on the throne, this is the same approach you would take. You would do it exactly the same way as I'm doing this. So we're at 33 here. I think we might want to take the decision of banning fascism. If we ban fascism with there, or we ban communism, because we're getting anti-fascism anyway. That's going to drop fascism by 19%, so it's enough, we're done. So you can actually stop the Hindenburg thing from happening. So if we pass sharpen air safety restrictions, we can do it. That's how you get Victoria back. Because that guarantees that the Hindenburg will survive. We might not need to ban it, you know. That daily change might be enough. Let's ban it just for safety's sake. It's done then. Nationalists are doing alright. It's the Carlists that we really want to win. Because they're the non-aligned royal faction. But we'll see. Still not deployed any of that. So in 70 days... 39, with the gradual climb we've got going on anyway, that'll be enough. Oh, we're not getting a daily change on it now, though. So we need to do anti-communists. That'll be enough. Yeah, there you go. So that should chip that over 0.4 by the time we get to that. So still drilling. Come on, gents. Get up there. We need to have a look at our equipment, actually. What are we short on now? Because we'll probably be short on... We'll be well off for guns. We will be very short on artillery. And we'll be very short on towed ampere. Plenty of tank motorized in the stockpile. There we go. That will do. So we're going to keep getting our decryption up. He actually has all of that, so we could do a mission, I think. To steal Cipher, but I think we need... I thought forming the department... Oh no, we need operations. We need... What's the one we need so that we can steal ciphers? I can't remember what the one is you need to be able to steal ciphers. Still too long, but I think the extra 25 might boost that under the period. I mean, it's not critical. We're going to win this anyway, but it's just nice to have. So these should essentially just be waiting on support equipment and anti-air, really now. How are we looking on support equipment? 2 per day. You're stockpiled, so let's give you a bit more of that. It's all going very Soviet over that side of the world. Give me some rubber from British Malaya. And give me some of that from British Portugal. We'll take extraction. Give us radios. Radios are far more important now than they used to be. There we go. So we've hit the 40%, so we're fine. So now we can focus on advisors. So we could start to modify our officer corps as well. Thing is, we're not going to generate a lot of new leaders. Not yet. So officers 50% chance of defense up on level up is quite nice. Or bold attack. Yeah, 156. Yeah, might get... Because it's going to take us 70 days to do stuff. We're going to get another boost off of that in the short term. So we could appoint a chief of army. which is probably, if we're going to do it, we want... I mean, Beck is good, but in the short term, Halder is actually better for us, so we're going to appoint Halder. I love Poland 576. Thank you very much for the follow. You are better than 575 other I love Polands. Yeah, I don't think Trotsky is going to win this, guys. He's not got a lot left, you know. Team Maxim84 and Great White 210057. Thanks very much for the follows. Yeah, Lithuania's going... so all of this is going very communist. Still don't know which way Poland's jumping. So I don't know the new focus stuff enough yet to be able to work out from their focuses which way they're going. Revive the Kaiserreich! The events of the past decade have shown that democracy is too weak to keep nefarious internal elements at bay. We must return to the strong leadership of a Kaiser, and in preparation for his return we shall revert the constitution back to that of the Deutsche Kaiserreich. Damn right we will. And because we did the boosts already, we can pretty much mainline straight for that. In 70 days we will be at war with the Dutch. Trust me on this. We will be at war with the Dutch. Hello, I love Poland. Welcome to the chat. Yeah, I don't know enough about the Polish focuses to know which way they're going yet. I mean, in an ideal world, I'd like them to go monarchy, because I'd quite like them as an ally. Given that everyone else around here is going communist. But, I mean, if they're not, we'll have to invade them, but I'd rather not. Well, remember, I haven't deployed any of these units, and that's deliberate. I'm intrigued if we will actually manage to build that, because we're going to get that one in time. We're still churning out our extra civilian factories. I do currently have an army, but only because I'm getting the drill off of them. I will very shortly not have an army. $90 days. We might get this because that's going to take 30, and we're still... That's going to leave us 20 days. Maybe. If not, I'm not that fussed. The key thing is we've now built up our decryption, and we'll probably decrypt Poland next on the off chance that they don't go the way we want them to go. Right, now that we've done all of this, I'm going to start flipping us to actual research bits that we want. We're reasonably well down on the trees here. We might go with excavation. Let's go with excavation just to get it done. Also, I haven't seen which way the British are going. So we know that we're going to finish decryption before we finish Return of the Kaiser, so that's fine. So I don't have to be watching too carefully.
Achtung!
So von Manstein's still drilling here just because it gives us a little bit of army experience gain every day. You want the army? If you've got enough viewer hours, you can cash in naming things. But yeah, you do need the hours first. We use it for Stellaris as well. Don't know what France is doing. This is the downside of playing on Iron Man. I should have put this onto a non-Iron Man so we could lift the fog of war and you could see what's going on. Nationalist Spain is still doing very well. Oh, UK's going communist. Yeah, we're going to have a lot of communist problems in this run. So we're actually probably going to want to flip Austria or Hungary quite early. This is going to be a proper anti-communist game if I carry on with it. That's probably enough in our short-term industry. Let's do oil processing. Let's do synthetic refineries, because we get some boosts for extra stuff on that. But I'd rather have the Stuff secured. Right, so 29 days. So end of April I need to disband my army. In fact, actually I might as well disband them now, because then it will reallocate the equipment. Fully equipped, fully trained. So we've got all of these divisions lined up here, ready to deploy. And in 16 days, we're going to ask the Dutch for the Kaiser back. Because the Kaiser's chilling at the moment over in Holland. He's just chilling there, living in his little villa. I forget where it is. There's a villa outside of Rotterdam. I forget where his villa is. Let's give you some tank. I forget where the little villa he's chilling in is, but he's chilling in it happily. So day 65. So what should happen here? Oh, the Hindenburg survived naturally. Interesting. So we have completed Return of the Kaiser. The Kaiserreich needs a Kaiser, and Wilhelm II still lives, exiled in the Netherlands. We will lift his exile and invite him to return to take the throne, despite what the Western democracies might think. How close are we to Dutch decryption? 22 days. So, right now, the Netherlands are getting a decision. And that decision is whether they should give us the Kaiser back, or whether they should refuse to give us the Kaiser back. And what the Netherlands are looking at is they're going, well, Germany's big, but they don't have an army. Yeah, we can take them because they don't have an army. The Netherlands blocked the return of Wilhelm II, not long after the German Empire lifted the exile on Wilhelm II. In a surprise announcement yesterday morning, Dutch authorities blocked the old Kaiser's motorcade before it passed the German border, and forced it to return to his residence of Huisdoorn. An official Dutch communique cites concerns for destabilizing the continent should Wilhelm II be allowed to assume the German throne once more, and the Dutch government has therefore taken it upon themselves to place the old Kaiser in house arrest. A German response to the crisis is yet to be made, but public outcry has included a demand for military force to be used to see to the Kaiser's return. How dare they? Netherlands prevents the return of the Kaiser. The dastardly Netherlands, having so long nobly offered Wilhelm II refuge, have now blocked the Kaiser's attempts at crossing the border to Germany, and have escorted him back to his residence, Huisdoorn. The Dutch cite concerns for the stability of the continent as their reasons. So if you are playing for Victoria, this is the point where you pick. Perhaps they have a point, we have other candidates, and then you can do some other things to get it. And if we want to do that at some point, what we'll do is I'll quite happily stream if we do a multiplayer. Well, yeah, so what's Otto Skazeni up to these days? Technically, he's up to me recruiting him if I want to. There he is. Look, let's recruit him. There you go. Just for that, we'll recruit Otto. But, yeah, I Love Poland has hit it. We shall give them some more immediate concerns. The German Empire declared war on the Netherlands. And because the Netherlands provoked us into it, and because it is early enough in the game, literally no one else is going to help them. Now the Dutch are still sitting there thinking, ha 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 ha, those fools, we can win this. Because they don't know that we've got 14 frickin' divisions and 3 panzer divisions sitting in reserve, ready to be deployed. Deployed to Dortmund. Deployed to Münster. Yoink. Yoink.
Ihre Befehle?
Let's get the old band back together again. Von Manstein. Go there. Get that.
Zuhören!
Rommel. Tell you what, you start there and just spearhead your way to Amsterdam.
Achtung!
And Gerd, how you doing, buddy?
Bereit zum Ausrücken!
I'm now imagining 14 tank divisions materialising out of thin air at my old stomping ground in Munster. Yeah, well, essentially that's kind of what happens. Is like you're just imagining like kind of like all of these like tanks just suddenly appearing on trains, just bust into that area. The other thing we're going to do is flip them to give them
Zuhören!
motorised priority because we want them to get well supplied out of Essen. We're probably going to build a railway, by the way, from Hanover to Munster. Well, there's kind of one there already. We'll expand that in Munster to Amsterdam in the long term, but and all of our planes go over there and do your plane things. What we should probably do really is we're not going to push the ships out because actually we want the ships to do stuff. Now, in terms of other things we want to do, we're going to take the extra civilian factories, just again, because the earlier we get them in the game, the more useful they are. So the Dutch are like, ha 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 ha. Germany is at war again, although many have wished for a long-lasting peace in Europe. A recent turn of events has left Germany on the path to war once again. Despite clearly violating the Treaty of Versailles, German troops have mobilized and are ready to go on the offense. German officials state that they will no longer keep the Rhineland dematerialized, arguing the need to protect German citizens. And yeah, well, we technically already remilitarized the Rhineland. So this little German troop that was like, ha ha ha, I can march into here. It's like, what? Wait, where did these guys come from? Rommel. Feel free to start rommeling. Von Manstein. Feel free to start von Mansteining, and we can officially call this First Army now. Actually, this is the First Panzer Corps. Panzer Corps? Panzer Army? Panzer Army? Like that. I did French and Latin. Don't judge my German. And that would be First Army.
Achtung!
So this would be, let's call this Army Group. It's eventually going to be Army Group East. So this would be Army Group. I mean, let's be honest, we're almost certainly going to have to attack Poland. So I'll tell you what, we will call this Army Group Poland for now. There you go. That's almost your name, I Love Poland. Africa Corps on a European vacation? Absolutely. Yeah, look, he's changed his mind all of a sudden. Hello, meet the German army.
Zuhören!
Go that way. We bring snacks. Yeah, feel free to leave Amsterdam before I head into it.
Ausrücken! Ausrücken!
Wilhelm II is freed. Our forces, after clearing the area surrounded Houston of Dutch forces, found the Kaiser in good health and returned him to Germany in motor convoy. Wilhelm II triumphantly crossed the border only a few hours ago and has solemnly accepted the responsibilities of Kaiser of the German Empire on his arrival in Berlin. None shall stop us. Hello Bunny1317, welcome to the stream. Bit of a shock for the Dutch this. They thought they were going to win this war. And they really aren't winning this war.
Befehle?
Do one of you guys want to nab the hay?
Angetreten?
Turns out your little Dutch army was no match for our undeployed German divisions. Poland, yeah, you're probably right actually, isn't it? It'd be army group. Would it be army group? Would it be army Gruppen or something? It'd be like army Gruppen Poland or something like that. Honestly, my German is mostly just learned from reading history books. Army group.
Los, los, los!
There you go. Yeah, Ramstein works as well.
Ihre Befehle?
Rommel, feel free to Rommel your way down to Breda if you fancy it.
Greift weiter an!
Why don't you just move into there and just close them off? Good news everyone, we've fully decrypted the cipher for the Netherlands. Literally no point to this, but we're going to now click this, and this means for the next 30 days we're going to get like a whole bunch of bonuses. Which are of zero use to us right now, but whatever. We should probably start with the inevitable, because I think Poland is going to go fucking communist. So let's actually just start decrypting Poland. Grandmaster maybe unlocked a histofact. Ooh, what histofact did you give me? I think one that's relevant to what we're doing now. Oh yeah, really interesting one. Hang on, let me look it up to make sure I get the right queen. Bing bing bing. Because I just need to make sure I get this right. Yeah, here you go. Right, so your histofact related to our conquest of the Dutch, as it's ongoing at the moment, is in real life, after the conquest of Holland, of the Netherlands in World War II, and the transition to government in exile, obviously Queen Wilhelmina set up in the UK, but Princess Juliana ended up over in Canada. And now, when Juliana gave birth to her daughter in 1943, or when she was about to give birth to her daughter, obviously the problem was that under under Dutch rules, well, there are issues of nationality that kick in, because Juliana was about to give birth to a kid in Canada. And the problem with that was that if she'd been born in Canada, because of the rules on Canadian citizenship at the time, if she'd been born in Canada, Princess Juliana's baby would have been of dual nationality. She would have been both Canadian and Dutch, which could potentially have caused awkwardness in terms of the inheritance of the Dutch throne or marriage or all that kind of things diplomatically. So what the Canadians did very, very briefly, with a passing of a law in the government, was just before she gave birth, they briefly designated the maternity ward, or particularly the room in the maternity ward that she was in Ottawa Civic Hospital, to be extraterritorial. So there was a very brief window where one maternity room in the hospital in Ottawa was technically not part of Canada. So that once Juliana's daughter was born, she was technically not born in Canada, and therefore only got her citizenship and nationality from her mother. And in the moment she'd been born, they designated the hospital room back to being part of Ottawa again. Which I just love. It's one of those amazing diplomatic fudges of how you get round a kind of problem. Which is just amazing, I think. But yeah, so there you go. There's your history fact related to what we're literally doing right now. And there we go. Rip the Netherlands. Now the benefit for us as Germany of doing this is actually what it means is we can just puppet the whole of the Netherlands. And we are going to puppet them, not take the territory, for two reasons. One, I want the Dutch Navy, because the Dutch Navy is actually pretty damn good. Two, it means that when we inevitably end up in a war with France, we can deliberately not call them in, which means we don't have to fight over that border. We can just stand defensively on this front until we want to not doing it. And then what we're actually going to do is satellite the Dutch East Indies. We might need to wait another turn before doing that. And that's going to become the German East Indies. And really, that was what we went to war for, not so much the Netherlands. We went for the Dutch East Indies. Because the German East Indies, if I go to the resource map mode, look at all that sexy oil and rubber that we now have. Look at all the sexy oil and rubber. Now granted, if we end up in a war with the UK, we're going to have trouble getting that sexy oil and rubber round to us. But while we're in a war with the Soviet Union, not so much of a problem. Which now means we can go back to our trade, where we were trading with British Malaya. And we were sending over like one civilian factory and getting 8 rubber in return. Now I can get 80 for one civilian factory. Sexy, sexy oil and rubber. And we'll be able to do the same for oil. How good is that? So okay, it took me much longer than planned, but there you go. It's fun to do nonetheless. We pushed for that. So I'm probably going to leave it there. But that is a good example of how, hopefully that's given you a good sort of initial overview of how Hearts of Iron 4 works, how to play it, everything else. If you want to join the Discord, we will get some multiplayers going. No doubt we will play some multiplayers. That's also giving you an idea of how actually, as Germany, it's incredibly useful early on to push for and go for that Dutch state. And all you've got to do is disband your army and but make sure you've got an army queued out to go up. And the key thing with queuing your army up is queue up the production whilst you're fighting the civil war, because then you can get all 14 units into production, you know, and then bosh, you're done. It just takes the game a little bit of a while to catch up on the namings. So it is actually German East Indies, but it's just locked in. It's going to call it that for a while. But yes, and now we have a Dutch puppet. We have a navy. No one has really objected to it. Okay, world tension's gone up, but no one's objected to it. We could, if we were playing this out now, probably send some volunteers to Nationalist Spain. Or maybe wait until the Carlists erupted and see how well the Carlists did before we sent them down there. And that would give us more army experience. We'd now be churning out a lot more armies, because we'd need to worry about Poland and beyond. And I might carry on playing this game offline. It's good fun. If you want me to stream some Hoi 4 over Christmas, shout me and I'm quite happy to do it. It wouldn't be on one of our Sunday slots, because obviously we want to do CK3 on that. I am off all week. We will be doing Stellaris tomorrow night. So we'll be doing Stellaris as per usual.